Let me welcome my guest in. Dr. Gerard Lameiro is joining us right now. He's been on the show before. He's an economist. He's an engineer. He's an author. And Dr. Lameiro, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were one of the people that I had on my show prior to the election who projected a Donald Trump victory.
That's correct. I was on your show November 2nd, and I was on it once before that, too, I think in October. And I did predict the Donald Trump victory. I was one of the few who actually did actual forecasts that came out right. A lot of people got, Hillary way ahead in popular vote, which turned out true, but she didn't win the states. And I believe it's a 51 election, a 51-state election in a sense, 50 states plus D.C., and I called every state that Trump won correctly for Trump.
Wow. That's impressive. Somebody's going to be getting you on the payroll for next time around.
Well, that would be nice.
I hope. I hope they do anyway. I saw that you had written an article on your website, greatnewsforamerica.com, regarding President Trump's first week, and we've been kicking that around a lot here.
Yes.
And, I mean, it was a whirlwind, wasn't it? And it continues with his Supreme Court pick tomorrow night.
I'll tell you, it's hard to talk about him because there's so much to say. As of last Thursday, I had 19 things he did last week, and I wasn't quite sure if the following Friday, last Friday, was week 2 or not, because that's still part of that full week. But he's done another 5 or 10 major things since I wrote that. And so it's incredible. I mean, he's up to about 30 things, and it's hard to keep track of it. It's also hard to keep track of all the protests of the left that are upset with it.
Well, it's the same people. They just come out for different reasons. Whatever it is, they've got another reason to go
and they
lock
sometimes
arms.
They sometimes change their hats.
They do. They don't change their clothes very often, but they change their hats.
That's right.
So what's your take on the pace at which the president's going? I think that may scare the left more than anything. He's beginning his second week in office. As you mentioned, 19, 20, 25 things that he's gotten done so far, and he hasn't slowed down.
No, he's a hard worker. He works, as they say, overtime in the Oval Office. He likes to get things done, and he fully intends to keep his promises, and he's out doing them left and right. Tomorrow night, we're going to get a primetime speech about who he's picking for Supreme Court justice, and I can bet it's going to be somebody who is a strict constitutionalist. And that's what he promised, and I have a feeling that's what we're going to get. Yeah,
I think it's not, in some cases, it's not so much that Donald Trump is keeping the promises that he made on the election trail, but it's his timing. So tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, he's going to hold a news conference in the East Wing. He's going to invite, I guess, the media into the East Wing there. He's going to hold a Ronald Reagan-style news conference to announce his pick for the Supreme Court. He'll get nationwide attention. All the networks will take it live, I'm sure. And 1 hour after that, Nancy Pelosi was scheduled to do a town hall meeting on CNN. That town hall will now completely be blown out of the water by coverage over his Supreme Court choice.
And not only that, I do think he'll make a statement. I think it's going to be like a little speech. But I also think it's going to overshadow a lot of the protests in the various airports, where they have Muslims praying because certain refugees are being excluded. He has bans that he issued over the weekend for people coming into the U.S. who have not been vetted adequately. He's basically cut the Obama approach, which is let everybody in you want to let in, without checking their Facebook records about do they want to kill us or something like that. And he's just basically trying to put some tough vetting processes in place. But I think the Supreme Court nominee, that's going to blow a lot of previous news stories out of the water.
Do you have a feel on who that might be of the candidates that have been mentioned? Neil Gorsuch, Tom Hardiman, I believe. Thomas Hardiman is one of the judges. William Pryor is another one. And now they're mentioning a lady named with the last name of Sykes.
Yeah. Well, that person's been around for a while, too.
Sure.
I think, actually, I still lean a little bit toward Pryor. He absolutely would rattle the left, no question about it. But he's a close friend of Jeff Sessions, who really has the ear of Donald Trump. The problem with Hardiman is I don't think, Trump has signaled that it's going to be a strong pro-life candidate. Hardiman doesn't have a strong pro-life record. He sort of has a no record in comparison to some of the other folks. So I'm leaning a little bit more toward Pryor, and there's a possibility he's going to surprise everybody too.
Yeah, well, that would be classic Donald Trump at this point, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Lead people in one direction. Lead his opponents in one direction, and then pull the rug out from under them.
It's like his book, The Art of the Deal. He's won many negotiations by keeping his opponents off balance. They never know what he's going to do next.
Exactly. And by the way, on that ban on the refugees coming in from Syria and that sort of thing, he's being pummeled by his opponents by saying, well, they didn't give the agencies enough time to work on it. And the obvious answer is you don't give terrorists notice that you're closing down the border. You close it in case they're on the way in.
Yeah.
It's so obvious. And by the way, one thing the media is not stressing, and of course they wouldn't, is the fact that if you look at Rasmussen polls or others, basically the American people are behind Donald Trump. They like what they've done. He's done. They like what he's doing. And it's exactly why they voted for him.
Yeah, it's a good point, Dr. Lameiro. And a small but vocal minority are the ones showing up at the airports. I direct people to your website, greatnewsforamerica.com. They can find out more about your books on renewing America and America's economic war. Dr. Lameiro, it's always a pleasure. Thank you.
It is. It's great to be with you.
Yep. Have a great day. I appreciate that. Let me mention, because I haven't yet, we do have our new Twitter poll posted. It's about the Supreme Court. The decision is announced tomorrow. So here's our Twitter poll brought to you by Hair Saloon for Men. Of the presumed finalists for the Supreme Court, who would you like Donald Trump to nominate for the Supreme Court? So it's the four names that we know. Maybe Dr. Lameiro's right, and there's somebody he's going to surprise us with. Neil Gorsuch, William Pryor, Thomas Hardiman, or Dianne Sykes. Now, she's out of the Chicago area, and I don't know that much about her. My suspicion is she's more of a moderate, so I don't think that would go over very well in terms of a replacement for Scalia, but I don't want to skew the poll. Tell us what you think. Get on there. Vote on who you think the pick will be. You can go to @TonyColombo971 or @MarkCox971, and you can vote, and please retweet and all that good stuff, and we'll have the results for you tomorrow when Tony Colombo joins us in the studio. Tony, sorry to make you hold. I got about a minute. What's on your mind?
Oh, yeah, I just want to make a comment. I was wondering why Trump didn't put Saudi Arabia on that terrorist or on that nation, on that list on the travel ban. A lot of terrorists, a lot of hijackers came from Saudi Arabia. And I was wondering if it's because Trump has business interests there. What do you think?
I don't think there's a shred of evidence of that.